Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here Thursday evening, 8 o'clock, just about every week. I did skip last week. It was Thanksgiving, family time. So had about 8 people over. It was no time to do a live edition. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's Thanksgiving? Was it joyful? The state of Utah here, we a little bit cooler temperatures, a little bit of snow earlier in the week. Snow is projected throughout the night tonight. So ski resorts will be happy. Winter sports will be all the rage. And we should have some fantastic snow. I am not going skiing this weekend, but I would like to. Going to talk a little bit this tonight on the real estate market. What's happening? What's the current pricing? And maybe some other key data that is relevant for people who are interested to see what the market is doing. I'll cover a few of the different counties that I get asked about. And one of the counties, at least one of them, might be a little bit surprised. Prices are actually going up in this particular county. So was on a down, but it's going up. So let's get started. If anybody's got any questions, by all means, throw it into the question box. I will do my very best to answer the questions. Anybody going to Pac-12 game tomorrow night? Down in Las Vegas? Excited. I'm actually heading down there myself. So, all right. Let's take a look at some data. So we're going to start out with Salt Lake County. The data here basically is the median sold price over the last few. I went back to March of 22 all the way down November. Kind of skipped December there. It's only got 1 day, so those numbers are not very accurate. That would just be 2 days numbers. But as you can tell, early in the years, most people know we hit our all-time high in Salt Lake County, about 560,000. And this is all homes, all price ranges, whether it's a town home, it's a $2 million home, and just a median price. So, and we have been on a steady decline. October, we dropped to, well, we pretty much flattened out a little bit. We were 525, dropped down to 520, 519, and then November dropped to 500. So there has been a steady decline in pricing. If I take the 500,000 to the 560, it's roughly about a 10% decrease. Quick math, 10% decrease. We're showing 537 for December, but we only got 1 day in December. So that's not many homes to compare. The other thing that draws my attention is over on the left. How many properties actually were sold in Salt Lake County? Last month, only 763. We're into prime months earlier this year. We averaged 1,300 to 1,400, pretty consistent. Even in August, we were 1,200. Usually the summer months are busier, but we also have been on a little bit of a decline on the amount of homes have sold. There are a lot of homes on the market, but as far as the amount that actually has sold is a little bit different. So that's Salt Lake County, largest county that we have. So I go to some of the other popular counties that I get asked about. We'll take a look at Utah County, areas like Provo, Orem, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, everything in Utah County. And once again, we are looking at about the same as Salt Lake County, hit a high about 550,000, dropping down to about 490,000 last month. So once again, that's about a $60,000 difference. So another 10, 11% decrease. but we can see the exact same numbers. When we look at the amount of homes sold, we were just under 1,000 homes most of the year. October dropped to 572, November 489, half of what was sold earlier in the year. So that's where we're at for Utah County. Let's head a little bit further north. Get asked a lot about Davis County. Very popular county. Cities like Layton, Bountiful, Kaysville. We hit probably a high price, about 545, April, May time period. And it's been on a slow decrease. It popped up a little bit there from July to August. And last month, we're down to about 472. So we're down from a high about 545 to probably about 12% decrease. So we can't really look at the December numbers showing 630, but there's only 9 homes that sold today. But we have similar decline in sales. We were in like the 400 range. We are down to just over 200, about 208 homes in November. Let's pop a little bit further north and go to what I call Weber County. Some people call it Weber County. Weber. Areas like Ogden, Roy, North Ogden, South Ogden, Pleasant View, Far West are some of the cities. Hit a high about 4.5, about 452, 447. And we have decreased prices and finished last month just under 400,000, 396. So the total number of homes that were sold last month, 186. And we were very similar pattern, what we've already been seeing. We were about the 300 to 400 range. So we're down about half amount of homes that have sold. So every county is down approximately about 10 to 12%. And the home sales down about half to what they were about 6 months ago. And if we jump up to another area I get asked about a lot, Cache County. Somebody wanted me to go up there, meet them tomorrow. And I said, boy, there's a storm coming in. Can we do this afternoon? So I was up there this afternoon. Did not want to drive in the snow up there. So we were a high, about 450,000 earlier in the year. Pretty consistent, 454, 450. Finished the month of November at 407. So once again, about a 10% decrease from the high. And once again, we're seeing the exact same sales numbers. We averaged about 120 to 150 homes per month. And we were down to 70 homes last month. All right. How about the southern half of the state? Area like Washington County. That's the largest. This is areas like St. George, Utah will be the popular city down there. So we were about the $600,000 range, 599, 597, 621 earlier in the year. Sorry, I was on the wrong column. We were about 590, 605, 612 earlier in the year, and we saw a decrease down to about 499. And then in October, it increased to 569. In November, 540. So we actually, this is the one county that I've noticed it dropped, but it seems to be picking back up. We dropped down to below 500,000. Now we're above 500,000. We're staying above that 500,000 range, about 540 to 569 the last couple months. So it's about the only county that's starting to or is actually seeing a little bit of an increase, just a little. It's still way below the high of 612 to 605. So when we take 540 from there, $60,000 difference. So probably about 10% decrease from earlier in the year. But we were at a larger decrease at the end of September when we were just below 500,000. We were probably more like 12, 13% from our all-time high. But very similar, not as many homes have sold. We averaged about 145 to 160 homes per month, and we are down to 95 homes. Half of what we were doing a few months ago. 6 months ago, to be exact. So that's some of the popular counties. If anybody has any counties that they particularly would like to know about, I can also cover some of those. I also want to cover just an idea on a little bit about, where we're sitting as far as we also seeing our active listings from one year to another. This time, I might have a better chart on this here. Maybe not. But when we take, where are we at? November, let's just go November 25th. So this year we have about 9,651 listings. Last year, this time we had 3,000 listings. So our inventory has gone up 3 times. Earlier this year, we were somewhere. We were down. So when we look back to around March time period, we had only about 2,300 homes on the market. That's how low our inventory was at one point. I think I saw it below 2,000 at one point. But this is another chart that shows that exact same thing. There we go. So earlier in the year, January and February, we were below 2,000 listings. And now we are sitting around 10,000 listings. And we've been consistent, close to 10,000 for about the last few months. So that, and also we go back to those sales numbers, how many homes sold. Under contract is about the exact same. How many properties went under contract? And in November, we were about 4,800. And earlier in the year, we were about close to 8,000. So not quite 50%, but pretty darn close to it. So there's our sales numbers for November, 2,000 units. Earlier in the year, we were close to 4,000. We were at above 4,000 some of those months. So there you go. 50% decrease on the amount of homes that have sold. And that's pretty much what we were seeing in most counties. So that's the statistics that we have at the current moment. The market down about, I'd say about 10%. One county, Washington County, is actually starting to see a little bit of a bump upwards. We'll see if that continues. We'll definitely see if that continues. Possible recession right around the corner. I think personally we're already in a recession. I'm starting to see companies laying off. When you see a company like DoorDash, was it 1,300 workers that they got rid of? It was over 1,000 workers. And that was recent, just yesterday or the day before. And a company like DoorDash is a very up and coming, heavily used company. A lot of people use DoorDash, and for them to lay off 1,000 to 1,300 workers, to me, is significant. It sure is. And we've had other industries too that have had layoffs. So I think the recession is starting to hit. It's probably already here. And the biggest driver is probably the inflation. I am seeing some numbers on inflation starting to look a little bit better. Nowhere near where we should be. Numbers are looking a little better. and the Mr. Powell, the federal chairman, has recently just come out and said that the rate increases should be decreased. We're not going to see as large of an interest rate increase when we go into December. I believe he made that announcement today or yesterday. And that's from the head man that makes those decisions. And my guess would be he must be seeing some of the inflation numbers coming in pretty good to make a projection like that. That's my guess. So it looks like we are turning the corner a little bit, but I'm a little nervous about the recession. There's a lot of companies laying off, and some of these companies are laying off before Christmas, some of the busiest times for most companies. So what's going to happen in January and February, especially with the retailers, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the department stores? Will there be layoffs after Christmas when, sales just, companies like Amazon, when sales drop significantly as we get through the Christmas season? That's what I will be looking out for and keeping an eye on. I think that the rough times ahead, we haven't seen the rough times, and but they possibly would continue. So hope not. Like to see the economy boom again. Get the interest rates back down and have a booming economy again. So any questions this evening that I can help anybody with? Okay, I will call an evening and return next week at the same time. I thank everybody for joining. Take care. One quick question there. Let's see there. Can you tell us what months you get snow in Salt Lake City area? Do most folks have generators there? Wow. Great question. Snow typically is from Thanksgiving onwards. The ski resorts hope and pray for snow so that they can open for Thanksgiving. It's a very busy time. Most years, it's man-made snow. Maybe they get a little bit of snow in the mountains, and it's man-made snow. This year has been an exception. We got snow at the beginning of November. So there's just a little bit of snow on the ground. So we did get some snowfall, and then most of it has melted away. We just got some snow this week. We're due snow tonight. So I would say typically from Thanksgiving, and I would say you're through February, at least until March, when the weather starts to warm up a little bit, and it can be a mixture of snow and slush and whatnot. But I would say that time period right there, Thanksgiving through the end of February. Generators. So I would say most people do not have a generator. We do not experience a lot of power outages because we really don't get the winds, but we do get winds on the more of the rare occasion. We are not like a windy state all the time, but we can get winds that come through. I actually have a generator living in this home here since 2005. So for 16 years, I never lost power until it was during COVID. Probably about 2 years ago, we had a bad storm that came through, got real windy, and I lost power. And so I needed a generator at that point, but I had a generator. So yeah, most people don't have generators. It's pretty rare. I've only had one occasion. And I think I would have been back up and running quicker. But the problem we had, it's amazing because I didn't even realize this. All our electrical in this subdivision is underground. It's all underground, except the wire that comes into the subdivision is at the end of the street on a long pole. So when it came down, it burnt the pole. So I think they could have restored power fairly quickly because they only had one line to repair. But since the pole was burnt, they had to bring out a crew that had to dig a hole, remove the pole, insert a new pole, probably concreted, I imagine. So we were without power for about 10 days, I think. 10 days, 2 weeks. So, but I think that was kind of abnormal. If the pole wouldn't have burned, they probably would have had us up and running pretty quick. But we had a lot of outages during that time period. It was an unusual storm that came through, and there was tens of thousands of homes without power. And the crews, matter of fact, they brought crews from other states in. So, but that's the only time. But in general, that's the only time I've lost power at my home in the last 16 years. But I'd recommend a generator. The main reason I had a generator was we've got freezers in the garage because we sometimes buy bulk meat. We'll buy half a cow, half a pig, share it with other people. So we need the storage. And that was my biggest fear. Thousands of dollars worth of meat, if you have a power outage. So I've always had a generator for that exact reason. It was mostly just to save the meat. But yeah, great question. God bless the power workers. Ours goes out from wind, even in a dinky little storm here in Charlotte. Thanks very much. Yeah. Pretty rare here. Say I've only had one occurrence, and I think most people in Utah would probably be very similar, maybe one or two. Now there's a couple areas that are exceptions to that. If you live at what they call the mouth of the canyon, where the winds can come through, there are certain cities that they require you have to have a thicker garage door, roof shingles. You should have like the architectural shingles because it just picks up wind through the canyon. So it's kind of just like a small area. But those areas, I would imagine, could be more susceptible to power outages in general. But yeah, we don't really have a whole lot. But yeah, power workers. And when I really look at it, the crews they brought in from, I'm not too sure which states, but Utah has done the exact same. So when Texas had the ice storm about a year and a half ago, and they lost thousands and thousands of people lost power, especially down like the Houston area. Crews from Utah were down there helping them. So they do help out. And not too sure over there in the Carolinas if that's very similar, but seems to happen here. But we also do that with the fire department. If there's a wildfire in California, which happens quite a bit, crews from Utah will go and help fight that fire. So they give a helping hand. So any more questions this evening before I call it evening? Appreciate everything. Hope to see everyone next week. So take care and stay safe.